Mm-mm. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 21 Minutes or Less podcast. Today, our episode is all about embracing your haters. And before we get started, I'm one of your co hosts, Keisha Milana.
And I am your other co host, Nakia Smith.
Yes. And this episode, like we said, is all about embracing your haters. And I feel like this is a really important topic because if you give in too much to what the haters are saying or pay too much attention to it, I feel like it can really affect your self care because you can start to doubt yourself. You can start believing the things that the haters are saying, and it can be really detrimental to you. So we felt this was really important just to make sure that you're protecting your peace, protecting your self-care, and not giving in to what the haters are saying about you. So as we start, I just want to first talk about like what is a hater? I know we hear that word just thrown around a lot, but it's actually a person who greatly dislikes a specified person or thing. So I want you to think real quick just about anybody that just doesn't like you. You might not even know why, but they just always have something negative to say or something critical. And the informal definition would just be a person who's negative or critical. And so, just breaking down these definitions, I feel like haters are something that everyone has. Sometimes you might not even know that you have a hater, but it's inevitable almost that everyone has a hater or someone who could be really critical for them. And I don't want you to confuse a hater with someone who's giving you constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is much, much different than someone who's just always being negative or critical of anything you do. And also, don't think a hater is just someone that you don't even know that well because anybody could be a hater. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be a significant other. So, you want to make sure that you understand what is the hater and identify who in your life might be a hater. So, for me, I feel like I've had a few haters in the past, and I feel like it's a few different ways to address haters. But before we get into how to address haters, I want to talk about Yoga Digest, and they suggested that there's 4 reasons to love your haters. So the first one is that it makes you stronger. The second one is that you learn. The third one is that it keeps you humble. And then the fourth one is that you can empower others. And then one reason that I added on my own just to love your haters is that I personally feel like they fuel you to work harder so that you can turn them into believers. And I feel like that's really important to think about because you might be doing it subconsciously or consciously, but a lot of times when you're trying to like really go hard and do something that you've heard people criticize you about, you're doing it so that they can stop criticizing you. And I think that's so important because, you know, sometimes we can overcompensate by trying to impress haters. But the fact is, some people might just be haters for absolutely no reason, or they might want to take your spot, or you have characteristics that they wish they had. So you want to make sure that you loving your haters for the right reason because if you're doing it to try to turn them into believers, you might be pretty much sending yourself on a failed mission because they might just be haters forever for absolutely no reason.
Not haters forever for absolutely no reason.
Yes. Haters forever for no reason. No good reason at all.
That's what we call extrinsic motivation, having somebody like outside of you motivate you. I would
Mhm.
never use my haters as motivators only because, like you said, a hater just gonna hate. And then me personally, I don't feel like I have any haters, but I have had people that, I have disagreements with, which I can talk about right now. So I had a supervisor who was like really hard, giving me a hard time at work. And of course, I did allude to, some of my health issues and things like that. And I actually talked about her in a positive light in a meeting. So we had a meeting where a really important person came to, learn about our organization because they was coming to evaluate us to see if our organization was a good fit to get a grant. And I understood in that moment that we were all on the same team working toward a common goal, and that any disagreements that we had to be left off the table, and we had to think about the bigger mission of the organization, which was getting funding so we can fund the organization and fulfill its mission. And as a result of me, speaking very positively, not only about the students, but about my supervisor and about the organization itself, I got pulled to the side by someone within the organization, and they asked me, "Hey, you did really well during this meeting. I wanted to know if you would be interested in moving to a better new position." And I actually really thought about it for a long time, but then I actually read like the job description, and it just didn't fit for me. Plus, they wasn't really offering a lot of money in order to get in that position, and it was doing double the work that I was currently doing. So I later declined. But it just goes to show that if you like put your emotions and have emotional intelligence towards people that you may have disagreements with or who may be a hater, but in the right time, like there's a time and place for everything, that you still be professional, be polite, be considerate. You other people are watching you regardless, like where you are or what you're doing in that moment, and you just never know how your reaction can have a domino effect on your life and your career. And in that moment, it had a positive impact on me because I was offered a promotion even though I declined it.
Yes, I love that, especially the part of you declining it because yeah, it's like you leveled up on your hater. Um, and then was the supervisor that was giving you a hard time the one who pulled you to the side to offer you the promotion?
No, she was not. But she was there when the woman offered me the promotion and gave me, positive feedback on, my meeting that day.
Got you. And did the supervisor give you positive feedback as well, or was just the other lady?
It was just the other lady.
She a hater. You talking about I don't got no haters. The supervisor was definitely a hater because you seen me how great I did, but it took somebody else to come in and be like, "Hey, you did a really good job. We really value you. We want to keep you here." But the supervisor didn't have nothing nice to say. Hater. But I really like how you said that it's a time and a place to address haters because that is true that how you address a hater can help or hinder you in the future because sometimes people only see one side of it. So they might not even see the fact that the person is hating on you, but they see how you go off on the person once you fed up or they see how you react and then they'll think like, "Oh wow, she's problematic or she
Hmm.
doesn't know how to control her emotions." But whole time they don't understand that you were being antagonized or constantly criticized or the person was being negative to you for so long. So I definitely think that knowing when and how to address a hater is very important because you can't address a personal hater the same way you address a professional hater. And you can't address a hater that's hating on your business the same way you're gonna address somebody that's just hating on you in your regular life, you know? So I feel like it's super important to determine, what setting is this person hating on me in and how can I respond in a way that's most effective to be able to thrive in the setting. Because if it's something like a business hater, it might be somebody who criticizing you like, "Oh yeah, you got this lash business, your lashes look cheap," but they never paid for it. They never supported you. They never even tried the lashes on. But then all your customers like, "Oh my goodness, I love these lashes. I done been able to reuse them 10, 15 times." So in that instance, I feel like you don't want to address the hater because then you gonna look unprofessional as a business owner about, people talking about your business. But it might be more effective to just block them. So you really do have to understand where you at and the setting you at to be able to most effectively deal with the hater.
Yes, and then you don't want to like release any energy on somebody that's negative. Like when you
Mm-hmm.
have that one negative person saying, "Oh, I don't like these; they look cheap," but then you got 10 other people over here telling you, "Hey, I love these." Address the people who said they love it, and ignore that other person because they just like you said, could be a hater or not even a supporter. So they just going off an assumption. They're not even going based off facts, and that's one thing I love to talk about when it comes to haters or people you have disagreements with. People lie, numbers don't lie, and facts don't lie. So when you
Mm-hmm.
can bring up evidence and facts to back up what you're saying and disprove what it is that other person is saying, especially if it's opinion based, I mean, what more can a hater say?
Right. What's the saying? Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody got one. So yeah, don't give that energy to someone with only negative opinions. It's okay if somebody have, a negative opinion every once in a while, but it's sprinkled in with good stuff. But if someone always only have negative opinions to you, they're your hater. And just going into a time where I felt like I had a hater. So I don't know if y'all know, but at HBCUs, election time, campaign time, when people running for like Miss whatever your university is or SGA president, things like that, it can be very taxing on the people who run. So I ran twice. And so the first time I ran, I won and I was running for like SGA treasurer. And the person I was running against, everybody I was on that campaign team was just super negative of me. I feel like I always told my campaign team, like, don't say nothing negative about the other person, like, just focus on promoting me. But that campaign team was so negative all the time. They was always talking about me on Twitter, bringing up personal stuff that didn't have anything to do with the election. So I felt like, the best revenge for a hater is to just level up. Like you said, when you got your promotion, it was okay, y'all clearly like me here. So you
Mhm.
winning. So for me, I ended up winning the election. And I felt like, I had to now be a student leader. And with a student leader, I can't just exclude a certain amount of the school population that didn't vote for me or exclude a certain amount of people that I know for a fact was like talking about me during the elections. So I just had to pretty much ignore it, and me winning the election was leveling up. And some of those same students I ended up helping as being a SGA leader. And so I just realized, like, you know, people sometimes will only be a hater for a temporary amount of time. And then
Mhm.
once you win it, it's like, oh, now I want to use you. Now I want to have you as a resource. Now I want to have you as a tool to be able to help me in some kind of way, even though I was just talking, messed about you. So I feel like again, it just go back to ignoring the haters. If I would have started clapping back at them and responding to them, then it would have made me look bad. And I could have possibly lost some of the people that was supporting me or people that ended up voting for me because they like, well, I like her message. I want to vote for her, but she's kind of messy or she's not professional because she's on Twitter arguing with people. So that would have made me look bad. So I felt like the best way to just win and, overcome the hate was to just ignore them and to be able to focus on running my campaign so that I can make sure that I actually accomplish my goal, which was to win.
Yes, I love your example because the reality is everybody feels like they're in competition with somebody, which
Hmm.
is not always the case. And my motto is collaboration over competition. But
Hmm.
like you said, if you're running, especially something politically, they're gonna bring up, your past. They're gonna bring up your personal information just so they can make you look bad.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't really make the person look bad. It makes them look bad because it's like, then you are willing to stoop that low in order to win. And if
Hmm.
you're willing to stoop that low in order to win, if you get into office, what else are you going to do that less integrity, that can like backfire for the community? So those are a lot of things you have to think about. Like, because it's a saying like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you just want to be mindful like of how you treat people, what you say about them, and things of that nature.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's why it's so important to love your haters. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, loving your haters is a form of self care. And we're gonna get into some ways to actually like show the love to your haters in a few. But I feel like it's important to just understand like how is loving my haters self-care. And I feel like it's self-care because you can release that negative energy that you will put into hating them. So if you spend all your time responding to haters, whether it's real life haters on social media or wherever, that's a lot of energy you could be putting into something positive instead of directing it to something negative. So I know a lot of times when people are hating, it has nothing to do with us and everything's to do with them. So if we constantly, feeding into what they're, saying or thinking about us or how they treating us, then we taking our eyes off the prize, which is whatever our goals is. And we could just be putting that into actually accomplishing our goals and making things happen. I feel like another reason why it's important to love your haters is because you feel less tense when they're around. Have you ever just been around somebody and you just know they said something negative about you before and you just don't feel good in your body? Like, that's not a good feeling.
Mm.
That's causing you stress. That's making you need to go get a massage. So, you giving your physical energy to this person or things, it could be things, but you giving your energy to these people that are ultimately not even important. And every time you come around, it's the issue. You scared. You don't know if a fight gonna break out because the blood between y'all is just so bad. So I feel like that just doesn't help you. It just causes you stress. And y'all know stress is a silent killer. So you don't want to have your heart rate up, you being on guard. You gotta go keep watching them, making sure they not coming up to you or trying you. It's too much. I'd rather not even put myself in that predicament and just kill them with kindness and go ahead and make sure that I'm treating them with respect. I'm loving on them to the point where they almost feel silly for criticizing me and being negative to me when we in the same room and now you don't want to say nothing. And then the last reason I feel like it's so important to love your haters is because you get more energy to focus on people and tasks that you love and enjoy. So if
Mhm.
you know somebody might be criticizing your business or being a hater, then you don't want to give them the attention. You want to focus on leveling up and thinking about, okay, they say my lashes look cheap, or they say I'm not good at this about my business. How can I actually improve on this? Especially if it might have you know, any kind of inkling to be somewhat true, you want to make sure that you putting that energy into things that you enjoy, things that you love, things that you can improve upon, instead of just thinking about the actual hater and, trying to make sure that you're not giving your attention and energy to them.
Yes, I love that list. And to close out that list with a positive quote, I'm going to read one by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that."
I like that because when you think about it, it's like love and hate opposites, like yin and yang. So if you giving somebody so much love, it's like if they still hating, it's like you literally have done everything that you could do to try to minimize it. So you just feel like a huge weight is lifted off your shoulders because okay, this truly does have nothing to do with me. Especially if you thinking like, okay, did I do something or am I doing something wrong that may be contributing to this hate? But if you just loving on them, killing them with kindness, it's like your conscience could be free to where you not the problem.
Yes. So I wanted to go ahead and get into 10 ways to use haters as fuel for your success. Is by an article in the Entrepreneur, and it's by John Rampton. So I'm just going to
Mhm.
go through the list. Some of these may be repetitive from things we had said before, but these are things you can refer back to if you want to write them down. This is a perfect time to take out a pen and paper. So I'm going to start with number one and go through the list. And then, Keisha, if you have anything that you want to, explain a little further on some of the things that I say, feel free.
Mhm.
All right. So, number one, you want to understand that it means you are doing something right. 2, learn from their attitudes to be more accepting of others. 3, use their criticism as a way to evaluate yourself. 4, be more humble. 5, use them to learn how to deal with conflict. 6, learn to control your anger. 7, use them to learn how to ignore negative influences. 8, utilize them to become more independent thinking. 9, allow them to motivate you. And 10, appreciate your victories. I love the suggestions that they gave. And I also want to give an example of a video that I actually reposted today on social media. It is titled "You Don't Have to Address Your Haters," and it's by Steve Harvey. So in the video, he referenced, like the Bible quote of like God preparing a table in front of your enemies, which
Mm-hmm.
is actually a scripture from Psalms 23:5, where David says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies," which also goes back to like my example because I was offered a promotion and it was giving positive feedback in front of a supervisor that was giving me a hard time. So he went on to say the only reason you have haters is because of you are effective. So basically, you're doing something right. And he said you have haters for two reasons: you're doing something that they're jealous of, or God is preparing to take you somewhere, and the devil is providing opposition, which we know as distractions. And then he also goes to say that can't nobody stop God, what God has for you. All you have to do is keep shining. And let me tell you how God will send you confirmation on something, because I reposted that video today. We are talking about this topic today. And today, my work mouse randomly hovered over like one of my coworkers' names on Teams. And she has like a standard message that says, "Nobody can block your blessings." And when I see like things like that, I call them little winks from God and confirmation that I am on the right path and that I am in alignment. So I just wanted to give that brief example and just show you like you will receive confirmation when you're doing the right thing, and that you're not looking at the opposition as like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, because like you said, it creates doubt. But God will always send you confirmation that no, we're not going to listen to that. Keep going. You on the right path.
Yes, I love Steve Harvey. He is such a good motivational speaker. So I'm glad you shared the basis of that video. And I feel like, you know, if God is even talking about enemies, then it's plenty of enemies out here because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of times the verbiage is different, but enemies, haters, tomato, it's all the same thing. So I really liked when you gave the list of 10 things that 10 ways to use haters to fuel your success. How you talked about learning from their attitudes can help you to be more accepting of others, because I feel like you do learn from haters because you start to see like, wow, I want to make sure I don't act like this to other people because this is something that it doesn't feel good, because even if you ignore a hater or whatever, you still they made you feel some type of way if you had to block them, or they made you feel some type of way if you don't even want to respond to them because what they saying is so horrific and you want to ignore them. So they're invoking emotion in you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a good one. So you want to make sure that you don't ever make someone else feel like that. And I feel like they can come with so many different lessons about, even when you were saying they teach you how to deal with conflict, they teach you how to control your anger. Those are important lessons that's going to come up for the rest of your life. Whether it's a big conflict or a little conflict, or you a little angry or a lot angry, those
Mm-hmm.
are emotions and feelings that you have to deal with. And when you are able to effectively remove a hater from your life, you can go ahead and start to feel good about yourself and start to spread that message about how you overcame that hater, how you started to ignore them, how you started to improve upon your business because it was people hating on you or whatever the testimony is. So it's really just a big testimony about how you overcame something when you are able to effectively use a hater for your success. Because without the hater, you might not have been there. You know, you might have just been going through life, not getting no criticism, might be thinking you perfect. But once you see that hater and you like, oh, this person is really trying me. Like, let me do something different. Let me try to ignore them. Let me try to block them. It just teaches you so much lessons that you start to be appreciative of them and you start to be grateful for your haters because of all the stuff that you learn.
Yes, I love that. I also wanted to give another example
Hmm.
of a celebrity that we all know, which is Michael B. Jordan,
Hmm.
which is ironic because that's the ex of Steve Harvey's stepdaughter, Lori Harvey. But they have nothing to do with each other in this example. But Michael B. Jordan was being interviewed by a woman he went to school with. She brought
Hmm.
up the fact that she knew him from way back in the day. However, his memory of her wasn't so good. He recalled her picking on him and reminded her of it. So it was like a full circle moment for him. Like, this woman is like interviewing him. She's all excited. She's like, yeah, I knew you from back in the school. But he's like, yeah, you used to pick on me, you used to talk about my name, or whatever like that, which is probably true because his name is Michael Jordan, which was, we all know, which is a famous basketball player, Michael Jordan.
Right.
But unbeknownst to her, that name would still be ringing bells to this day because he became a well known person, which is an actor himself. So it just goes to show you that, again, God will prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies or haters, like you said, how you want to call them, because there was like a full circle moment. And I bet she probably telling her friends, oh, yeah, I went to school with him, da 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 da. And then in this moment, he was able to address her, like, yeah, I remember you, and my memory of you wasn't good. So, yeah.
Yes, I love that. I've actually seen that video too. And if I remember too, it was either in the article about the video or the actual video, but she was saying that they were pretty much picking on him because he would bring his headshot to school and things of that
Hmm.
nature. So it's like he's trying to be an actor, even from way back when. He's trying to get his name out here. Y'all hating on him or talking about him, criticizing him, being negative, making fun of him, and now he's a famous actor. So it
Hmm.
just goes to show you that sometimes when people are hating on you, it can fuel you and it can cause you to just be more successful in the long run. And he's been famous a few years now, but it probably took him a long time if that was in high school to actually get to the point where it paid off or he was famous. Let's say
Yes.
it took 10, 15 years. Okay, cool. It took 10, 15 years where they probably was like, oh yeah, this man used to bring his headshots to school, or they were probably still hating on him. But now he get the last laugh. And I feel like that's
Exactly.
how it is with haters. They are negative until it's time to be positive. And she is probably no longer a hater. She's interviewing him on the red carpet. She probably didn't watch his movies. She probably didn't seen stuff he's directed in. So it's like you seeing my glow up and you seeing how I'm able to be successful in the film industry, entertainment industry, which is not easy. And you still trying to make it. You trying to be a reporter that people want to know more about, or I know she's on Angelique's podcast, which is great, but it's like you don't got your own podcast. You
Hmm.
still out here on the red carpet trying to stop celebrities and get that interview for a few minutes. So it just show you how dynamics can change, and a lot of times when people are hating on you, you can get the last laugh.
Exactly. And if she would have played her cards right and actually be friended him, and they got could have been motivating each other and helping each other out, she probably could have been a lot further than what she is now. But that goes to show you, if you choose collaboration over competition, or like just being negative and being a hater, it can get you a lot further than taking the negative route.
Yes. And that even goes back to just one of the things you said when you listed off the 10 ways to use haters for success about being more humble. So he probably had to be really humble when he was still bringing them photo headshots to school, and when he was just probably going to his acting classes and trying to get out here. And so it can be humbling when somebody is hating on you, and that's what you need to use to be able to fuel you to be able to actually get into the position that you want to be in the future, instead of just taking it and being like, no, I'm actually the best, this person just hating on me. Like, stop, ignore them, humble yourself, and realize, even if what this person's saying is just negative and critical, what are some of the things that I can work on to be more successful? What can I do to get where I ultimately want to be? And again, you don't have to necessarily listen to the haters because they being so negative. You can still just take the fact that they're being negative and try to be more conscious of things that you can work on. So I think
Yes.
that's super important.
Yes. And I also wanted to bring up number 8, which I think is really, really important. Utilize them to become more independent thinking, because you can see like a lot of people, especially when it comes to like celebrities. I did bring them up because, many people know about them, but you can see people jump on bandwagons when it comes to like different celebrities and things like that, and you can like fall into the trap of doing that only because that's what everybody else is doing, and you don't want to do that. You want to have your own mind and have an independent thinking spirit. That's what I call it.
Mhm.
Because going back to that Michael B. Jordan situation, maybe she wasn't, the one picking on him. Maybe she was like the one engaging in it, or laughing at it or whatever. But although you may not be the actual bully, engaging in that type of situation and not helping the person that's on the other side, you're still a part of it. So you just want to think independently and not jump on bandwagons or not contribute to hating indirectly, even though you're not the one that's necessarily being the hater. So just be
Mhm.
mindful of that.
That's what we call in psychology the bystander effect. If you're sitting around being a bystander, just think about ways in which you will want someone to respond to you if you see someone being negative to them. And I actually got a quick little story about that. So it was like a few weeks ago. We had a little kickback at my friend's house. And so by this time, it's 5 in the morning. Everybody that's supposed to be there is sleepy. We want to lay down. We want to go to sleep. We tired. It's 5 a.m. So this one dude in particular, no, okay, so my friend, she's Mexican. She pretty much was like, yeah, it's time for everybody to go. Like, it's 5 a.m. We're tired. Everybody needs to leave very soon. So this
Mhm.
one dude just got really, really negative with her and started hating and being rude. And he was like, oh, I don't like you. He said that to her. So I had to look. I'm like, who are you talking to? Like, why you don't like her? You don't even know her. You don't like her because she told you to leave and it's 5 a.m. So that was just the example of like not being a bystander. I could have just let him start criticizing her, and he was being very microaggressive as well. So that was something that I felt like, okay, I need to intervene on this hate because it's not deserving. So if you see somebody just randomly hating on somebody that you know, or even if you don't know them, you just appreciate their work, or you can vouch that the person is just simply being a hater, don't feed into it. Like, try to be the one who's a voice of reasoning to ask them, like, why do you feel that way? I don't know if you ever seen on social media where they be like, what's a celebrity you just hate for absolutely no reason? I don't like when people say that because it just be no reason. Like, why are you just hating on this person, especially if it's somebody I like? I'm like, wait, you don't like this person? You don't like this person? They got great songs, they got great vibes, great movies, or whatever. So I feel like it's just very important to make sure that you're not feeding into it, and that you have, like you said, an independent thinking mind of your own about why this person might be great or not so great.
Yes.
And to wrap up, I want to leave y'all with some ways that we can actually love and overcome our haters. And Nakia, you can feel free to add any that you might have. But one is to continue to give them something to hate about. Speak kindly to them. So that's my favorite thing to do. I love to kill somebody with kindness because they're gonna be sitting there being mad and being upset at you about whatever, or not even having a reason. And they just genuinely gonna be confused, like, dang, I'm being mean to this person, I'm being negative, I'm being critical of them, but they being so nice to me. And I feel like it kind of go hand in hand with the Bible where God say like turn the other cheek. Like, okay, you hating on me, but I'm finna be so nice to you. Like, I love your outfit. Your hair looks so cute today. But whole time you just hating on me in your head, and you're gonna be confused about like why is this person being so nice? Also, you can improve upon the things they hate you for. So if somebody is being a hater on your business, level up. Now they don't have nothing to hate on. If they do, you know it's just them being a hater for absolutely no reason. You can also ignore them or block them. So a lot of times haters want an audience, and that's the only reason they even hating. So when you remove their audience, you can go ahead and just have them talking to themselves about it, because once they start hating on you, they might be able to spread that hate, and you don't want that, especially if you could just ignore them or block them or just remove them off your page or whatever it might be. Another thing you can do, show gratitude to them, thank them, tell them like, you know what, I appreciate the criticism you just gave me, and that's it. And just tell them like, thank you for that, because ultimately it's only gonna make you stronger. You
Mhm.
can also focus on people that are supporters. So when you just don't give them any attention, actually when you give them attention, it can make people that genuinely support you feel bad. Like, have you ever seen where celebrities be clapping back at people, and then all their fans be like, why are you replying to them? You don't never reply to us, like reply to us.
Mhm.
So just focus on people that support you, because that's the people you want to give your energy to, not people that want to see you fall. And then the last thing, just understand that criticism can be a sign of pain. So for me, I feel like it's much easier to deal with haters because of my psychology background. So I understand that everybody is going through something in life, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, at work. It could be anything. So I feel like just understanding that this hating and this criticism can be stemming from something else that don't have nothing to do with me. And that
Mhm.
helps me to just love them despite of how they feel about me.
Yes. I think I made a post about that. Like a lot of people project like
Hmm.
how they feel about themselves onto other people, or they project negatively onto other people because they feel bad about themselves and they think talking about others is going to make them feel better about themselves, or it may make them feel better in that moment, but that still doesn't get to the root cause of like why are you feeling this way, or why do you feel the need to do this. And some of it is learned behavior. If you come up from a household that's all they did was talk negatively, or that
Hmm.
all your parents or siblings all they did was gossip, and now you just have that learned behavior and you just don't know how to kick it. I mean, as you get older and as an adult, you have to recognize those toxic ways and try to figure out how to overcome them. But again, sometimes it's just learned behavior.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to break generational curses, to make sure that you learning new positive behaviors, because it can be very easy to think about something negative. But I literally was telling somebody who was like always negative to themselves yesterday, like, when you wake up in the morning, you should just try saying three positive things about yourself. So, like, don't be afraid to spread the knowledge and spread those good positive habits and behaviors that you are developing to other people that you see who haven't been able to accomplish that yet.
Yes, and that's another reason why I don't like the term toxic positivity. It makes me cringe because I feel like, yeah, I don't agree with that. Maybe that could be a whole nother podcast, but
I
I
was
just
just
don't like that
gonna say that.
word.
Yes. Okay, well, hopefully y'all learned something about haters and y'all have some new ways to like love them and overcome them, because ultimately it's all about your self-care. You don't want to be tense and, feeling uncomfortable when the haters come around. You don't want to be having your whole mood change if somebody hating on you on social media. Just learn to remove them from your life. block that access that they have and keep it pushing, and you will be successful and get the last laugh ultimately. But
Yes.
yes, thank y'all so much for listening to our podcast today. And make sure y'all go follow us on social media. You can follow the 21 Minutes or Less page on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at 21 Minutes or Less. And then you can go to our YouTube and type in 21 Minutes or Less podcast. And you can also follow our personal pages. Mine is at Keisha Milana.
And mine is at Miss Butterfly 21 MISS.
Yes, and we're going to see y'all on the next episode. Bye.